Lost Art with Andrew Cox, retired Master Gunnery Sergeant. thelostart.podbean.com. Get some merchandise and help support the podcast and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. Now on all major podcast platforms. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be a guest, tell your veteran story, discuss your veteran business or organization. Email The Lost Art with Andrew Cox at gmail.com. Andrew Cox, a Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. See the project story at tillvalhallaproject.com. Thanks for tuning in. Please enjoy the podcast that's giving a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox.
Today's episode is brought to you by TrumpShirt.com. TrumpShirt.com is a veteran-owned business where 100% of the proceeds goes to disabled veterans and veteran organizations. Support your veterans by purchasing a shirt at TrumpShirt.com. Use the promo code TLA and get free shipping. That's TrumpShirt.com, promo code TLA.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we'll be having a My Veteran Story. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? Then go to the Lost Art website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check us out and see what we got going on there. There is a merchandise tab. Click on that merchandise tab. Go check out all the merchandise. Get you something cool, a shirt, a hat, a mug, anything like that. But help support us in getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. I also want to give a big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project for allowing me to be an ambassador for your incredible organization. That's the tillvalhallaproject.com. Go to their website, see if there's anything you can do to help them in honoring those that have gone before us and have sacrificed so much. With that, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the show.
So in that month that I was waiting to get my uniform, you go to this place called ROPE. Can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's ROP. And that's basically where they teach you about uniforms, how to set them up, how to make them look good. They teach you how to march correctly. They teach you how to do manual with M14s. And then they basically kind of combine it all in the last week. So it's like a 3 to 4 week thing where they just kind of run you through everything. You test out through each week there's a stand. So you have to get your uniform and you stand out in the fields for various times. So your first week it's like 30 minutes. Second week is an hour stand. And then
When you say stand,
I mean, you're standing at the position of attention for...
You literally just stand there.
Standing. Yes.
That is part of the get qualified.
You would be surprised by the amount of people.
I'm not at all, actually.
Yeah, it's.
I'll let you in on a little secret because I've been holding out on you because I don't know. I was just trying to be crazy, I guess. I was in the band.
Really? Oh,
yeah, Marine.
no.
Not the Marine band, but in the Marine Corps fleet bands. And I did that for 25 years, man.
Jesus.
Well, I did other things throughout, but so I started out as a drummer, musician. 29 Palms was first place, and then I don't know. I've been all over the place, but yeah. So that's why I was getting you to say some mean things about the band. It's all good. But so I understand what you're talking about when you talk about standing there. Not an easy task all the time. So I get that. But I've never, not one time have I ever had to just stand at the position of attention by myself, just standing.
Like, I mean,
I've never had to do
had
that.
A group of it's like a small class, like 5 to 10 people. So it's not technically by yourself, but
you're literally standing
by
there
yourself,
just waiting to see, okay, who's going to pass out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens,
it
in the actual training room where they used to do the stands. They kind of switched to outside because it goes a lot between outside and inside, depending on the weather, things like that. But they actually used to do all their stands inside, right in front of a big glass mirror.
Oh God!
One dude, I guess, passed out, smashed his face on the mirror, and that mirror is still broken to this day. So
it's a reminder of don't do that
a little bit. Yeah.
This is what happens when you stand.
So there's actually kind of like a big, important, or trying to think of the word, emphasis on eating right before a stand, drinking water, things like that.
Now, so you're going out and doing these ceremonies.
Mhm.
How long, what is the typical ceremony that you're doing?
So the ceremony itself is generally pretty quick. We run through about it's like 10 to 15 different movements, and then we usually stand there and wait for some general to give a speech.
Yeah,
And
that's always the longest time.
That's
the way it works.
Yeah, that's generally the longest part of it is the speech. It's always the exact same speech, just reworded.
Oh, really?
Yeah, same speech every time.
So for you guys, there's a certain ceremony that you do during the summer.
Yeah,
is it year round?
There's a few that are kind of annual events. There's a few that just happen regularly. We have.
Well, don't you have like weekly shows that you do?
Yeah, Twilight Tattoo is in the summer.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was trying to think of. Twilight Tattoo.
That one.
I've never seen a Twilight Tattoo.
I can tell you, it's entertaining for someone who isn't in it. So
I understand that.
I mean, it's a show. It's on for the public. It's meant to sort of run through the years, the history of the Army, things that we've done, places that we've been. A lot. It's the focus has shifted a lot. It used to be more focused on combat arms, but in the more recent year, like this last show that they did, which I think they finished their last show January 20 something was their last, or not January, sorry, July 20 something was their last show this year. But it was all focused on sort of like the different MOSs, engineers, communication specialists, things like that, and sort of how they impacted the Army through those years. So it was a lot less focused on infantry, a lot more focused on support.
Interesting. I wonder if that has to do with possibly recruiting.
I think it's kind of a mixed bag. It's a lot of it has to do with recruiting. A lot of it has to do with sort of the Army climate in general.
That's a good point.
Yeah, even from when I first joined to now, it's a completely different environment. You got different types of people. You got different mindsets. The privates then versus the privates now, completely different people.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mix of not only the recruiting crisis, which is still ongoing as far as I'm aware, for the past few years now, to also sort of wanting to show that the Army doesn't just care about its infantrymen, and so it's kind of just changed over the years. Like I said, it's a nice show if you're not in it, and
when you're not standing there for hours.
Yeah.
Now you did other things as well. Now, did you ever do funerals and like dignitary arrivals? And because I mean, there's all kinds of things like that up in DC.
I've done all sorts of ceremonies.
Yes.
On the funeral aspects, a lot of the times that I actually felt the most proud of where I was when I was doing a funeral.
Yeah.
It was what we call CAC missions, because our company never really touched Arlington, but they would sort of rotate through the companies each week for CAC, casualty assistance something. But it basically was funerals that were not in Arlington, but in the general vicinity. And you would go out, fold a flag, present it, and there would be like a bugler there.
Yeah.
And they would play taps and all that. And that was probably, like I said, the most proud I was of where I was at. It was, it wasn't what I signed up for, but it meant a lot to the few people I performed it for. It wasn't like it was putting on a show for a crowd. It was respectful and important. And honestly, a lot of times, you feel yourself tearing up in that uniform while you're holding a flag.
And you wore the colonial uniform, or did you
that was the ceremonial uniform,
like the dress blues,
white gloves, whole
right?
nine. But I think my most vivid memory from those missions was I was doing a flag folding for this family, and because of the tight nature of where we were at, I was right next to the widow.
Oh man.
And when Taps was playing, and then we started holding the flag, just the tears and the emotions that were felt, it was, like I said, that was my hardest.
Oh yeah.
CAC mission by far.
Now, did you have to actually present the flag?
I did a couple times, not on that particular case, but generally it's the NCO of the mission. But I had done it enough times that I'd learned what you're supposed to say, how you present it, all that.
Right.
That's kind of what I did while I was there. I just learned a lot of positions because I never really liked to stick with one thing. I learned everything I could to just sort of set myself apart. I was even learning officer movements,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, you get bored. You don't really have a whole lot to do if there's not a ceremony. So you just learn things. But no, I've presented the flag a few times.
I've only
different.
done that one time, and that was just recent, actually, because I retired in February this year. And right before I retired, one of the Marines I know, who is now a Master Gunnery Sergeant, she was a Master Sergeant at the time. She called me and she's like, "Hey, there's a Marine musician that had passed away. They're burying him in Arlington," and I was in Virginia at the time. And she's like, she was a drum major. I was a drum major, and then the drum major for the President's Own. All three of us were involved. So he led the band.
Okay.
She was in charge of the whole service, right?
Yeah.
Or not service. I don't know what you would call it. But she asked me to be the one to present the flag. And it was the only time I ever done it. And let's just say I didn't say exactly what I was supposed to say.
It's a big responsibility.
It was, nerve wracking. Like you kneel down and it's the moment that you look the person in their face and you're like, oh God. And then everything just goes blank and you're like, I don't even know what the heck I'm supposed to say. I'm like, on behalf of a nation that's grateful and I'm sorry. And I wish I could hug you right now. That's not what I said, but it's tough.
It is.
It is not an easy thing.
I didn't get the chance to do a lot of them, but I did enough that, I still felt, important there.
Yeah.
But on the aspect of other ceremonies, I've been in, like you said, arrivals. I've done a lot of arrivals for foreign dignitaries.
Who is like you talk about your arrivals and those types of things? What is one that stands out that you're like, oh man, this is one
Japan.
Time. Okay.
Japan, because so a lot of the times for arrivals, the way it works is you kind of just get there a little bit early, like 10, 15 minutes early to when it's supposed to start.
Right.
You get there, you do the sequence for like a few people that are there just early. Generally, it's no one important, but then you're waiting and the band is playing, cycling through songs.
Oh, they're playing the whole time?
The entire time.
Oh my God.
It cycles, it's all Pershing's own who cycles the songs. And they generally have like 3 to 4 songs that they'll cycle through. Now, usually they play every song twice because of how long it takes.
Oh my God.
So you're waiting there 30 minutes, 40 minutes in the heat just for these generals to arrive. And little known secret, all they do is they go to the other general's house. And they just for an hour before they go on to the ceremonies. It's what they do.
Oh God.
But Japan is the one that sticks out to me because by the time we even started marching on, they were like, we need to hurry up because they're coming. They're early, punctual, and they were there. And of course, you kind of expect that from Japanese, that culture behind it. But that's the one that stands out because they were the only foreign dignitaries ever to do that in my
they actually showed up on time when they were supposed
to. They showed up early. So it was really better. Yeah. And I think they made it through like half a song before they had to stop and finish up continue the ceremony.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice. That ceremony took like 20 minutes and we were out of there.
Wow.
So it was one of the shorter ceremonies. Generally, arrival is supposed to be short. It's supposed to be like 20, 25 minutes, but it takes like an hour for them to get there, so it's like.
Yeah, I guess technically the ceremony is only that.
Yeah, and you stand there.
You're just waiting for them.
Yeah.
Well, that I guess that goes to show how important your, what did you call them? Stand-ins?
Stands.
How important those stands really are.
Yeah.
Now I imagine I've been through way more ceremonies than I care to count. But I imagine you've had to deal with or have seen individuals pass out.
Oh, a good number.
Yeah.
Especially the summer times, it's the worst. Whenever we're doing an outside ceremony in the summer, that's when it gets really bad. I've seen anywhere from a captain all the way down to a private pass out. Everybody does it at least once. I myself have come this close. We're marching off, and I saw the tunnel vision.
Oh, wow.
Ears going out. Whole thing, and I was like this close from falling over before we started walking, and I was like, "Oh, fuck! Thank God."
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. It's but it's kind of the weird thing is you can't move. You can't help them. You have to just watch. And
they have people there to.
Yeah. I mean, there's always someone on standby. But more recently, the recruiting crisis, along with just the numbers in general, just aren't there. So you have like one person who's there to not only drag the person away, but then also replace them.
Oh, wow. They double duty.
Yeah. So it's,
that's interesting.
Yeah. But it's kind of a weird feeling. I actually knew someone who got a TBI from falling over and hitting his head. I think it was on concrete.
Oh, yeah. I can see that for sure.
And and he got out medical discharge like 6 months later.
Wow.
But when people pass out like that, a lot of the times they kind of seize. It's like, holy fuck, I should help them, but you're there and you can't. It's kind of a weird feeling. It's like that call to action, but then you can't move.
Yeah, I found that especially being the drum major, I get to stand on the end and I'm looking down the line of troops, so I get to see all the different ways that individuals pass out. It was always amazing. You get some that they're boards. You get some they just crumble and like they melt into the ground. It was always, and anytime, and I don't know if it was like this for you, but anytime somebody did pass out, it was one of those moments that you're like, oh, and it kind of revives you, and you're like, okay, I'm back in the fight. I can do this. I'm here. It wasn't me that passed out.
That's kind of the hope going to every ceremony. As long as it's not me. I'm good.
I don't want to be that guy. That's fun. So, and you did 4 years, correct?
So it was 3.5 years there, 6 months basic training.
Gotcha. Now, as you're doing your time, right? You didn't get to go do the infantry thing. Well, I mean, technically, I guess you did, but in the fleet doing infantry actual job, right? Now you're approaching your end of your contract. What are you thinking? Like, you're like, hey, I want to go and do this and try it, or hey, I'm going to bolt. Like, what was going through your mind?
I bounced around what I was going to do. I think this last year, before I kind of like settled on, getting out, I actually even got the chance to go get my expert infantry badge. I did that. I did.
Oh, nice.
The German Armed Forces proficiency badge. Did that. Got it. We go to the field. Usually it's once a year, but it's not enough for me.
Maybe like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah. And then occasionally like a range day, but it's never really anything big. But it's like every time we did those things, I was hyped up. I was like, all right, re-enlist, let's go. Infantry, all the way. And then, you get close to the end of your contract and, life starts hitting you and you're like, I'm hitting the E5 mark. I had the chance to go to a board before I went out. But I just, I had my son on the way, and I was like, I don't focus on that. I want to be there for my son. I want to be there, get ready for him, and so I had the chance to be an E5 and then to re-enlist, having only one duty station where I would basically be at the equivalent of a new private going to a different infantry duty station. And that was kind of the thing that always stopped me. It's like, yes, I can improve. When you talk to other infantrymen and other people who know people in the old guard, there's always a stigma behind it. Rightfully so, though, because you don't get the same training that you used to. You don't get that day in, day out of infantry, and you're naturally just going to be behind. Someone fresh out of basic, you're almost behind them because it's been so long since you've done anything worthwhile or anything pertaining to that, that you just don't know. And so, for a time I wanted to go re-enlist to go airborne and do that. And, that was, I kind of set my sights on that for a while. And, like I said, life came along, I had my son on the way. And then I was going to re-enlist for a different MOS. I was going to do, it was 35 Lima, I think, if I remember correctly. That one is trying to remember what it is, but it was basically like a sort of like a detective for internal and external terrorist threats.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
I don't know if there's a YouTuber who did the same thing. Nico Ortiz. He was at 35 Lima as well. He was infantry and then 35 Lima. If I'm getting the MOs correct, just don't quote me. It's been a year since I thought about that.
I'm not quoting anybody.
But I set my sights on that for a while, and I was even going to get my top secret clearance. And I started that process, and then it was just life happens, So it's I don't know, it's whenever something like that solid and real comes along, you're like, but what if this? What if this? What about this? And so now it was more like, okay, I have my son on the way. I have, people I want to take care of. I have things I want to do outside of the military. There's people I want to be around. I can't be going to the field 6 months out of the year. I can't miss my kids like that. It's tough. It's a tough kid. It's a tough life, and it's one of those things that I couldn't move past. Ever since I was little, I was big on family. Family is important to me. And now I have the chance to start my own family, and I don't want to miss that.
Absolutely. So you were in DC the whole time, and just recently got out, technically 4 days ago. It's funny, but so, and we're in Austin.
Yep.
So what was Austin like? What was the drawback here? Because you're from Florida.
People I knew. My fiance. For one.
Is that one?
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. My son.
Yeah.
And I've known Texas to be a hot spot for veterans, and I've always sort of wanted to go to Texas even since I was little. It's a big state, lots of lots to do. And so that was kind of like, I could go to Austin. I could live in Texas.
I
wouldn't say Austin particularly was my first choice, the city and all that.
Well, I'm kind of disappointed that you've been here for how long now? 5 days?
Yeah, I mean, technically I've been here like 3-4 days, but I was on baby leave for like a month before I actually got out. So I was here for like a month and a half.
Okay, all right. So, a month and a half, maybe coming close on 2 months. you came walking in, you don't have a cowboy hat. You don't have cowboy boots.
You know,
I'm kind of disappointed at this point.
I will say, I want one. It's about going to the right shop. I have to find a proper shop, actually. You know,
all right.
Because if I'm going to get a cowboy, I watched the Walmart.
You got to go for gold.
Yeah, you got to get,
as we think back to the Olympics recently, you got to go for gold.
You get those bootcut jeans, belt buckle.
You're gonna go. You might as well go join a rodeo and
I
win
think
you a
so.
buckle.
Yeah. Just looking at some horse ranches nearby. Hey,
go all in. That's good. That's good. That's funny. I'm wearing a PBR shirt right now.
Yeah,
professional bull rider. So you can go be a professional bull rider.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll have some action there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everything I do, I want some excitement to it. I can't do office jobs. I can't do anything like that. I have to be moving. I have to be doing something. I hate sitting doing nothing.
So what is it like? What is your goal now that you're out? What are you striving for?
Kind of bounce between a few ideas, but for the most part, it's going to college. I started 2 years. I did about 2 years of college. Like I said, I was going to do computer engineering, which sounds weird for infantry, but
go where the money is.
Yeah, no, I was going to do computer engineering. That's why I was looking at flight schools. Things like that. I like computers, but the reason why I dropped out of college in the first place was because I couldn't do computers as work and my hobby. I love computers. I built my own PC.
I see.
Yeah, so I couldn't do it as work. I couldn't go to work and then go home to work. So I'm trying to sort of feel around and see something outside of what I've done before.
I'll give you a break. It's only been like 4 days.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you a break, so it's okay. All right. Well, think back over your time. Right, you're 4 years in the Army. What advice do you have for let's say both two things? One is those individuals that are currently in, and then two, the individuals that are veterans. Now you haven't been a veteran, but for 4 days, so. You may not have a lot of advice, but I'm sure you have something. But so for active duty guys, and then also for the veterans.
So for the active duty guys, a lot of what you do, you're not always going to see the sense in it. It's going to feel stupid in the moment, but you kind of have to make the sense for yourself. You're not always going to be told, why you're doing something. You're not always going to be told. The logistics and every aspect of something. So you kind of have to figure that out for yourself. And, for me, when I was going to this place, I wanted to make the most of it. I didn't like that that's where I was going, but I knew that going to this place, I was still going to be the best soldier that I could be. And that's really all you can strive for. It's being the best version of yourself, not even the best soldier, the best part of you.
Yeah.
And I think that goes to even veterans. You have to work on you. You have to be the best version of yourself anywhere you go.
Yeah.
I've always kept that sentiment, and it's got me through a lot. And you can't be perfect.
That's true.
But you can still strive to be the best version of you.
Yeah.
No one's perfect. But you can try.
It's a good point. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming in and being shotgunned into this.
Yeah,
and telling your story. It was a fantastic story. So I don't know.
It's a story.
I don't know why you're so upset about it. No, I get the disappointment of the whole thing. And I'm sorry for surprising you on. I'm a musician, and you hate the musician.
I don't hate the.
I'm just messing with you, man. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for telling your story. Thanks for giving us advice. And welcome to the other side. 4 days. So
see where it takes me.
You never know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got a lot to look forward to.
That's right.
A lot to still do.
That's right.
So
it'll be good.
That's what I'm going to do.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate it,
yeah.
man. If you're a veteran and you're struggling and you need some help, don't forget that the VA does have some incredible resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can also text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options are going to be able to put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. The veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're a veteran out there and you're not struggling and you're doing well, don't forget about your fellow veterans that you served with. Reach out to them, ask them how they're doing. And if they need a helping hand, go ahead and help them out as well. With that, I hope you enjoyed the show. Stay motivated. Change your socks.